Have you ever wondered why some prayers seem to change lives instantly, while others seem to go unanswered? Is there a secret to truly effective prayer? What if I told you that the power to change your life is at your fingertips right now, and it all starts with a simple act of faith? Today I want to reveal to you what makes a prayer truly powerful, and how it can open doors you never thought possible. Let's explore together why prayer is more than words. It's a direct connection to the divine that can heal, renew, and bring peace in any circumstance. Stay with me until the end of this video, because we're not only going to talk about the power of prayer, but I'm going to share with you how you can begin to experience this transformation in your own life today. Are you ready to discover what can change everything? Then let's go together. When you think of prayer, what comes to mind? Perhaps it is a memorized phrase, an old habit, or even a moment in which you sought help in the midst of difficulty. But I want to tell you that prayer is much more than that. It is the purest link between you and the Father, a direct channel that requires no intermediaries or protocols. It's like a bridge that connects your heart to the source of all creation. When I was among you, I saw how many sought answers in rituals and traditions, but the true power of prayer is not in the words, but in the intention behind them. No matter where you are, in the quiet of your home or in the midst of the hustle and bustle of everyday life, simply close your eyes and feel the connection to something greater. In this simplicity lies a profound power, the certainty that if you open yourself to this conversation, you will be heard. What makes prayer so powerful is that it is not just a communication, but an attunement. When you pray, your mind and heart are attuned to the forces of the universe, to the energy that gives life to everything. When you speak sincerely, your words are not lost in the air, but are enveloped by this creative force that begins to act in your life in ways you sometimes can't even imagine. Think of a child talking to his father. They don't need an elaborate speech to be heard. The child's trust is enough for the father to pay attention to everything he says. In the same way, when you pray, you stand before the Father with this trust. He doesn't expect perfection in your words, but he wants your heart to be open, because that is where he works. Prayer is not a monologue, it is a dialogue. Even if you don't hear immediate answers, they will come. Often in the form of peace, an idea that comes out of nowhere, or a door that opens when you least expect it. This dialogue transforms the soul and creates in you a new perception of life and yourself. And it is from this trust that we come to understand that prayer can also transform worry into something much more meaningful. Have you ever noticed how worry has the power to imprison your mind? Like an invisible thread, it entangles your thoughts, creating scenarios of fear and uncertainty. But what few people know is that prayer is the key that sets you free. When you choose to trust instead of drowning in doubt, something extraordinary happens. Worry begins to lose its power and faith takes its rightful place. Worry is born when you try to carry the weight of the world alone. It is a reminder that you are often disconnected from the natural flow of life, trying to control what is beyond your reach. But here's the invitation. When you pray, lay down your burdens. Say, "Father, I trust in you." This simple statement is not just a phrase, it is an act of surrender. And in surrender, you discover power. I once met a man who was tormented by doubt. He worried about his family's future, what he was going to eat the next day, and circumstances he couldn't change. I looked into his eyes and said, "Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap, yet the Father feeds them. How much more will he provide for you, his beloved child?" These words were not just a promise, but a living truth. When you trust, you realize that there is divine care in everything, even the most difficult situations. Transforming worry into trust takes practice. It doesn't mean you'll never feel fear or anxiety again. It means that when these feelings arise, you will know where to look. Prayer doesn't make challenges go away, but it does change the way you face them. With confidence, you begin to see opportunities where before you only saw obstacles. And when you surrender your worries, something surprising happens. Your heart calms, your mind clears, and you realize that you are being guided. This confidence doesn't come from outside, it comes from within, like an inexhaustible well. And so, with an open heart, you begin to understand that prayer goes beyond spoken words. It is a sincere dialogue, full of love and authenticity. People often ask me, how should I pray? Is there a right way? The truth is that the most powerful prayer comes from the heart, not from well-chosen words or memorized phrases. It is in the sincere heart, free of pretense, that the Father finds room to act. When you talk to a close friend, you don't worry about formalities. You say what you feel, express your doubts, your joys, and even the words you can't organize. That's the way your prayer should be. It's not about impressing, it's about presenting yourself as you really are. This act of vulnerability opens the way for the divine to work in your life in unexpected ways. Remember that the Father is not impressed by eloquent speech. He sees beyond words and knows the deepest longings of your soul. I once saw a woman who, in the midst of her pain, could only say, "Help me." There were no explanations or detailed requests, but her heartfelt cry was enough for her to feel peace and hope in her heart. The secret is not in the number of words, but in the truth they carry. Praying from the heart is like opening a window to let the light in. You don't have to hide your fears, your anger, or even your doubts. Bring it all into the prayer. Tell the Father exactly how you feel. He won't be offended by your honesty. On the contrary, He will be pleased to see you approaching with authenticity. It is in this space of truth that miracles begin to happen. When you pray from the heart, something else happens. You get closer to who you really are. Sincere prayer not only connects you to the Father, it also helps you to reconnect with yourself. You begin to realize that there is strength and wisdom within you that may have been dormant. And it is from this connection that gratitude begins to blossom naturally, completely changing the way you perceive life and its blessings. Most people approach prayer as if they were writing down a list of requests and expecting quick and precise answers. While it's natural to seek help for life's challenges, I invite you to change your perspective. What if instead of starting with asking, you started with thanking? This simple change could completely transform the way you pray and live. Gratitude is more than an emotion. It's an energy that attracts abundance. When you thank the Father for what you already have, you recognize that He is present in every detail of your life. This attitude not only calms the mind, but also opens your eyes to see blessings that have gone unnoticed. It's as if, by giving thanks, you are tuning your heart to the frequency of divine generosity. I once saw a man who, in the midst of difficulty, did something unexpected. He closed his eyes and, instead of asking for solutions, began to give thanks for the strength he still had, for the family that loved him, and for the opportunity to start over. His problems didn't immediately disappear, but his perspective on them changed. He found the courage and clarity to move forward, and over time, solutions began to emerge in surprising ways. The prayer of gratitude is powerful because it aligns you with the natural flow of the universe. When you stop focusing on what's missing and start appreciating what's already there, a new reality unfolds. Your heart expands, your worries lose power, and you realize that you are already more blessed than you ever imagined. This state of gratitude is not only transformative, it is healing. Of course, there are times when your heart is too heavy to give thanks. On those days, start small. Give thanks for the sunshine, for the air you breathe, or even for the opportunity to be alive. These simple words, even in the midst of pain, are an act of faith. And faith, as we will see, is the key that moves mountains and makes the impossible possible. Faith is the beating heart of every prayer. Without it, words become empty, like an echo that never finds a target. But with faith, even mountains can be moved. It's not about having all the answers or never doubting. It's about trusting that the Father is present, listening and acting, even when all seems lost. Faith is not the absence of challenges, but the certainty that you'll never face them alone. When you pray with confidence, something inside you connects with divine power. It's like a river finding its natural course. Everything begins to flow. even if it seems like a small change at first. It is in this surrender that power is revealed. I remember a man who was in an impossible situation. He needed a miracle and came to me and asked, "What should I do?" I told him, "Believe me, it's already been done." He didn't understand at the time, but he chose to trust. Not because he saw an immediate solution, but because he chose to believe that the Father, who is perfect in love, knew what was best. Days later, the solution came, but in a way he never expected. His faith was the key. Trust in the Father is like a seed planted in fertile soil. You don't see the growth right away, but you know something is happening under the surface. Each prayer said in faith is like watering that seed, strengthening the roots even before the fruit appears. And when the time is right, the miracle manifests itself. Even in times when the answer seems delayed, faith perseveres. It not only strengthens the spirit, it transforms the way you face challenges. When you trust the Father, you discover that the process is as important as the result. And it is in this trust that the light begins to dispel the darkness, pointing to the next step in your journey, finding in prayer a source of direction even in the most difficult moments. In the most difficult moments, when everything around you seems to be falling apart, prayer becomes a beacon in the darkness. In those moments, many feel the weight of loneliness, but I want you to know that you are never alone. Prayer is a reminder that even on the darkest days there is a light, and that light is always within reach. Imagine being in a tunnel with no way out. The sense of loss or disorientation can be overwhelming. But if you close your eyes and pray, even with a simple phrase, "Father, I'm here, guide me," you begin to feel something change. It's not the darkness that immediately disappears, but the certainty that you are no longer walking alone. I've seen many people who, in the face of suffering, felt they didn't have the strength to go on. Once a young man came to me and said, "I can't do it anymore. Everything seems to be against me." I looked at him and answered, "When you see no way out, prayer is the way." Don't look to yourself for strength now, but ask the Father to show you where to step. He prayed, and day after day, light began to appear in his life. It wasn't an instant miracle, but a transformation that brought peace and direction. Prayer in times of darkness is not about understanding the whys or trying to solve everything at once. It's about trusting that the light is there, even when you can't see it. Every word spoken, every sigh given to the Father is like lighting a small flame within you. Over time, that flame grows and illuminates what once seemed impossible to see. And it is this light that shows the way. It not only guides you, but it warms your heart, renews your hope, and strengthens your faith. As the light grows stronger, you begin to realize that prayer is not just a way out of difficult times. It's actually a way of living in constant connection that allows that light to shine even on the brightest of days. Prayer doesn't have to be an act reserved for special moments or emergencies. In fact, it can be a natural part of your day, an ongoing conversation with the Father that unfolds as you live. When you make prayer a way of life, you realize that there is no separation between the sacred and the mundane. Everything becomes an opportunity to be in communion with the divine. Imagine starting the day with a simple act of gratitude, something like this: "Thank you for this new dawn." Then, as you work, drive, or take care of your family, keep this conversation open, talking to the Father about your thoughts, your challenges, and even your joys. You don't need elaborate words, just a present heart. This practice creates a constant connection, a feeling that you are never out of reach of divine love. When I was among you, I taught that the kingdom of heaven is within everyone. This means that access to the Father is always available, no matter where you are. To make prayer a way of life is to recognize this truth in every moment. It's understanding that you don't have to wait for a special time or place to approach God. He is already with you, everywhere. As you make prayer a daily practice, you begin to notice subtle but profound changes. Your thoughts become clearer, your patience is renewed, and even the most challenging situations seem less burdensome. Not because the problems disappear, but because you are stronger, more in tune with what really matters. This state of constant communion brings a peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. And so, by living in prayer, you become a light for others. Your words, actions, and even your silence begin to reflect this divine connection. Those around you will feel something different, a love that doesn't judge, a peace that welcomes. And in this reflection, you will spread the same light that prayer has brought into your life, showing that true transformation begins within each of us. Prayer is more than words. It is the pulsing of your spirit in communion with the Creator. It is the reminder that you are never alone, that there is an unconditional love that sustains you even in the most difficult times. When you pray, you're not just talking to the Father. You're connecting with the power that creates, transforms, and renews everything. Now imagine living each day connected to this inexhaustible source of peace and direction. Imagine facing challenges with the confidence that your prayers will be heard, that the answer is already on its way, even if it's not what you expect. That's the promise of prayer, not just to change circumstances, but to change you. So today, open your heart. Pray like never before. Surrender your worries, celebrate your blessings, and trust in the Father's perfect care. And remember, the light you seek already dwells within you. Let that light guide your steps, renew your faith, and enlighten the world around you. May your path be illuminated, and may you discover the peace that has always been within you. Go and live this truth, for you are loved, and that is all that matters.